brochure was stuffed behind the couch cushions. December 10th, 2 weeks before Christmas, and I found it in my own living room. Pinewood Senior Living, where comfort meets care. The handwritten note clipped to it made my hand shake. Cheapest option. Memory care wing available. Get him in by January 15th. I sat on the couch Eleanor and I had saved 3 months to buy 32 years ago. Back when we were building this house with our own hands, when Christmas meant lights in every window and Dylan helping us hang them, standing on my shoulders, laughing when he dropped a bulb and it shattered across the driveway in a spray of red glass. "It's okay, Dad," he'd said, 7 years old, worried he'd ruined Christmas. "We can get another one." "We have plenty," I'd told him. "Lights are meant to shine, not sit in boxes." Eleanor had kissed the top of his head. "That's right, baby. We fill this house with light so people know we're alive in here." Now that same boy, now 36, was planning to warehouse me so he could steal my home. The laptop sat open on the dining table. Dylan had left it there, unusual for him. Maybe desperation makes you sloppy. The email subject line made my chest tighten. Senior Living Facility Tours, December 30th. Appointment confirmed. Plural. He was comparison shopping. I clicked through, found the spreadsheet. Financial reset plan. Outstanding debts, Marcus Sports betting account, $32,000. Natasha's 3 credit cards, $45,000 total. Personal loan from her parents, $10,000. Total, $87,000. Asset solution, Dad's house, $425,000. Estimated sale after costs, $374,000. Debt payment, $87,000. Remaining, $287,000. Timeline, Christmas final family gathering, December 30th, finalize facility. January 15th, Dad moves to Pinewood. January 20th, list house. February, March, sale closes. He'd made a spreadsheet, a detailed plan about stealing the house Eleanor and I built. The house we'd just finished paying off, $180,000, last payment in August. 70 years old, 35 years as a construction foreman at Henderson & Sons, building homes for other families, while Eleanor and I built this one on weekends. Every beam, every nail, every decision made together. And my son had reduced it to a line item. Asset solution. Not family home, not the house where I grew up, just asset solution. I thought about Eleanor's last words, 12 years gone now, her hand weak in mine, cancer eating her from inside. Take care of our boy. Make sure he becomes a good man. I'd tried. God knows I'd tried. I'd failed. The signs had been there since October. Natasha walking through rooms with her phone out, taking pictures. When I'd asked what she was doing, she'd said, "Just ideas," and kept clicking. "You know what this place could be worth?" she'd said one evening, standing in the kitchen Eleanor had designed on graph paper. $450, easy. $500,000 with the right updates. "It's worth what Eleanor and I built it to be," I'd said. "A home." "Right, of course." Her smile was ice. "I just meant eventually, for the future, when you're ready." Ready for what? I hadn't asked. Now I knew. Real estate magazines appeared in November. Articles about downsizing in your golden years always left open to certain pages. Dylan started working late, or said he was. Some nights I'd wake at 2 a.m. to his voice behind his bedroom door. "I know. Just give me until after New Year. I'll have it." The gambling. $32,000 on sports betting. And Natasha. Boxes arriving daily from Amazon, from Nordstrom. New purses every month. Clothes with tags still attached. $45,000 in debt across 3 credit cards. They'd moved in last April. "Just temporary, Dad. 6 months, tops." That was 8 months ago. At Thanksgiving, they'd announced they'd host Christmas here. "Something special this year," Dylan had said. "A real family celebration. Maybe our last big one before, things change." "What things?" I'd asked. He'd glanced at Natasha. "We've been thinking about your future as you get older. What's best? I'm 70, not 90. Nobody's questioning that. Natasha had cut in. We just want you safe. What happens if you fall? I'll deal with it when it happens. But that's not really responsible. Her hand on Dylan's arm, united front. We care about you. That's what family does. That's what family does. I'd lain in bed that night, the bed Eleanor died in, staring at the ceiling, listening to the house settle. Every creak familiar, every sound a memory. Now I sat with that spreadsheet proving what they planned. I photographed every page, every document, every piece of evidence. Then I called James Whitman, our family lawyer. James had been Eleanor's attorney, had helped us with her will and the life estate paperwork she'd insisted on after her diagnosis. I want to make sure you're protected, Warren, that this house stays yours. She'd known. Somehow, even then, she'd known. I need help, I said when he answered. And I need it quietly. Come to the office. Today, if you can. I went that afternoon with photos of everything on my phone. James was 60-something, gray hair, sharp eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. He'd been a construction site attorney before private practice. He knew how to build a case the way I knew how to build a house. Foundation first. He spent an hour reviewing the photos, made notes, finally sat back. The good news is they can't do this without your consent. The house is yours, free and clear. The life estate Eleanor set up means Dylan has a remainder interest. He inherits when you pass, but zero claim while you're living. And the bad news? They're planning to pressure you. The nursing home tours, the financial planning, they're building toward convincing you it's for your own good, that you're a burden. My jaw tightened. I'm not a burden. I know that, but they'll try to make you doubt it. He tapped the photos. 45,000 in shopping debt, that's addiction. Your son's 32,000 in gambling, that's desperation. Desperate people do desperate things. So what do? We protect your assets, lock down your accounts, document everything. If they try to force you out, we need evidence of elder financial abuse. He paused. Then you decide what you want the end result to be. I thought about Eleanor, about the boy Dylan used to be, about promises I'd made. I want them to face consequences, I said, real ones. James nodded slowly. Then we wait for them to make their move. 2 days later, December 12th, I was hanging Christmas lights when Natasha came outside with her coffee. Cold morning, my breath fogging as I worked. Those colored lights are kind of dated, aren't they? She sipped from my mug, the one Dylan had given me 20 years ago. World's best dad, faded but readable. White lights are more sophisticated. Eleanor had loved colored lights. We'd started with one strand our first Christmas here, just moved in, sleeping on a mattress on the floor. She'd insisted on lights. We need to make it feel like home, Warren. Every year after, she'd add more. By the time Dylan was in high school, our house was that house, the one kids pointed at from car windows. Eleanor liked colored lights, I said from the ladder. Well? Natasha shrugged. Times change. People's tastes evolve. I looked down at this woman standing in my yard, drinking from my mug, telling me my dead wife's taste was dated. My wife who'd spent 35 Christmases making this house glow. Yeah, I said. Times change. That night, I found our old ornaments boxed in the garage, hidden behind paint cans. I'd been looking for the stepladder, and there they were. Cardboard boxes labeled in Eleanor's handwriting. Christmas, Dylan's ornaments. I opened them with shaking hands. Clay handprints Dylan had made in kindergarten, his name scratched into the back. Photo ornaments from every year. Dylan at 6 months, at 2 years, at 5 with his first bike. The angel from our first Christmas together. The wooden star I'd carved from leftover oak, Eleanor's favorite. The one she'd insisted go at the top every year. This represents us, she'd always said. Not store-bought, made with love. Natasha had replaced them all with identical silver balls from West Elm. I'd seen the boxes in recycling. 48 ornaments at $6.99 each, $336 for soulless uniformity. I took the star back to the tree that night, hung it where it belonged, eye level, where Eleanor always put it so she could see it from the kitchen. 2 days later, it was gone. I didn't say anything, just added it to the list. The magazines, the comments, the erasure of Eleanor from her own home, building a case, the way James said. Document everything. Dylan started working late more often. He'd leave at 7, come home after 8, smell like scotch and defeat. Some nights I'd hear him on the phone. I know what I owe. I'll have it after New Year. Natasha spent hours on her laptop, shopping sites in one tab, real estate listings in another, sometimes both at once. Buying things she couldn't afford while pricing my house like livestock. December 20th, they announced the Christmas party. "We want to do something really special," Natasha said over dinner, eyes bright with practiced enthusiasm. "Invite neighbors, some of Dylan's colleagues. Really celebrate this beautiful house. And we're thinking professional photos," Dylan added quickly, "for the family archive, while everything looks nice." I'd noticed the staging, throw pillows that had appeared, artwork repositioned, furniture shifted, the house being groomed for sale while I lived in it. "Sounds fine," I said. They exchanged a look. Relief that I hadn't objected. Let them think I was a fool. I saw the guest list 2 days later. 23 names. I recognized maybe 8. 6 worked in real estate, 2 in mortgage lending, 3 in home staging. They weren't planning a Christmas party. They were planning an open house. Christmas Eve arrived cold and clear. I woke at 5:30 like always, made coffee, stood at the kitchen window watching the sun come up over the backyard. Eleanor's roses were dormant for winter, just bare stems, but come spring they'd bloom again. She'd planted them our first year. "Something living that comes back," she'd said. "Something that survives." The caterers arrived at noon. 3 young people in black, efficient and professional, transforming my kitchen into a staging ground. Natasha supervised while they rearranged furniture, brought in serving pieces I'd never seen, adjusted everything for maximum visual appeal. The photographer came at 2, spent 90 minutes getting shots of every room from every angle. "Great bones," he kept saying. "Really great bones. This place could be stunning with the right updates." By 6, the house was full of strangers. 20, maybe 25 people, flowing through rooms with wine glasses. Young couples in expensive casual wear, discussing square footage and property values. A man in his 40s examining the crown molding I'd installed myself, nodding with professional assessment. Mr. Blackwood. A woman in her 30s approached, blonde, bright smile, wine already half gone. "Your home is absolutely stunning. How long have you been here?" "Built it myself, 43 years ago." "Really? Wow." She looked around, calculating. "The bones are incredible. You don't see craftsmanship like this anymore." Everyone kept saying that. Bones. Like my house was a skeleton they were measuring for new skin. I recognized some faces. Bill Henderson from 3 houses down, looking uncomfortable, probably understanding what this party really was. Mary Parker, who'd been Eleanor's friend, who kept glancing at me with concern. But most were strangers walking through my home, my memories, my life appraising everything. A couple stood by the fireplace Eleanor and I had built from river rock. We'd spent 6 weekends driving to quarries, examining stones, rejecting hundreds before finding the perfect ones. Eleanor had sketched the design, I'd done the mortaring, both of us working until our backs ached and our hands were scraped raw. The couple was discussing recent sales in the neighborhood, comps, market trends, whether the fireplace added value or should be updated to something more contemporary. They were appraising my house at my Christmas party. I excused myself to the kitchen, needed air. empty except for catering staff moving with practiced efficiency. I stood by the sink, the farm sink Eleanor had wanted, that I'd special ordered from Vermont because she'd seen it in a magazine and fallen in love. "It's perfect," she'd said when it arrived. "Worth every penny. We'll wash dishes here for 50 years. We'd had 23. Outside the window, the Christmas lights blinked in darkness. Red, green, blue, gold. Eleanor's lights, still saying what she'd always wanted them to say. "We're alive in here." Then I heard Natasha's voice from just outside the door, loud with wine and confidence. "This time next year, this will be our house. The old man needs to accept reality. He can't maintain this place anymore." I froze. My hands found the edge of the sink, Eleanor's sink, and gripped until my knuckles went white. Couldn't move, couldn't breathe. The room tilted the way it had the morning Eleanor died. The world, suddenly unstable. "Keep your voice down," Dylan's voice, cautious, not disagreeing. "Why? Everyone here knows. We're doing him a favor. Pinewood has activities, other people his age. He'll probably be happier. And God, Dylan, we need this." "Yeah." A pause. "Yeah, we do. I'm tired of living in someone else's house, pretending everything's fine when I can barely make minimum payments. This house is the solution to everything." I heard glasses clink. They were toasting, celebrating, while I stood 10 feet away listening to them plan my erasure. My chest felt tight, heart hammering. For a moment, I thought I might be having a heart attack. Wanted to, almost. Let them find me. Let them see what their plotting had done. But Eleanor's voice came to me, clear as if she stood beside me. "Stand up, Warren. Don't give them the satisfaction." I stood there gripping that sink for maybe 5 minutes, until my breathing steadied, until my hands stopped shaking, until I could think clearly. Then I pulled out my phone, called James. "It's time," I said when he answered. "I need you to file everything tomorrow." "Warren, it's Christmas. I know what day it is. Can you do it?" Pause. "Yes. The locks need changing too. Tomorrow afternoon after they leave. They're going to Aspen in the morning. Skiing trip through January 2nd. You're absolutely certain?" I looked around the kitchen. Eleanor's farm sink. Her south-facing windows. Her recipe box on the counter. Index cards in her handwriting. The room we'd designed together. They were planning to put me in Pinewood, the cheapest option, and sell my house. I heard Natasha say it tonight. "This will be our house." At my Christmas party, James, while I stood in my own kitchen. "Okay," he said quietly. "I'll handle it." The party wound down around midnight. I played my part, the gracious host, shaking hands, accepting compliments. A real estate developer slipped me his card as he left. "If you ever consider selling," he said, smile practiced and professional, "this house, this neighborhood, this lot, you'd get top dollar." I looked at Dylan across the room, watching with barely concealed hope. "I'll keep that in mind," I said. When the last guest left, I turned to face them. "Great party," I said. "Really special. Thank you both." Natasha's smile was triumphant. "I'm so glad you enjoyed it." It was memorable. I went to my room and closed the door. Christmas morning, the sun came up the same as always, but everything felt different, wrong. I made breakfast, eggs and bacon and toast, Eleanor's Christmas tradition. But my hands shook cracking eggs into the pan. Dylan and Natasha came down around 9. We opened presents in the living room, just the three of us, surrounded by silver ornaments that meant nothing. No clay handprints, no photo memories, no wooden star. Just identical spheres reflecting back a distorted version of ourselves. I'd bought Dylan a watch, a Citizen, automatic movement, sapphire crystal. $400 I couldn't really afford. Eleanor had always insisted on good Christmas gifts. It shows people you care, Warren. Dad. Dylan turned it over in his hands, surprised by the weight. This is too much. Might be the last one I give you for a while. I meant, the last Christmas as father and son. He heard, before you put me in a home. His smile was pure relief. Thank you, this is great. Natasha gave me a sweater. Target, $24.99, price tag still tucked inside. We had breakfast. Dylan helped with dishes, the way he used to when he was young. For maybe 10 minutes, it felt almost normal. Almost like I'd imagined everything. Almost like my son wasn't planning to institutionalize me. Then Natasha's phone rang. She stepped outside. Through the window, I heard every word. Yes, he seemed fine. No, I don't think he suspects. The tours are still scheduled for the 30th. We'll have him placed by mid-January. Dylan must have seen my face because he came over, put a hand on my shoulder. The same hand I'd taught to throw a baseball, to use a level, to measure twice and cut once. You okay, Dad? I looked up at my son, Eleanor's boy, the kid I'd carried on my shoulders to reach the top of the Christmas tree. I gave you everything, I said quietly. Everything I had. Your mother and I, we sacrificed so much. And this is what you do with it? His hand dropped. Dad, I don't. You don't what? I stood up. You and Natasha should pack for your trip. You leave tomorrow, right? Yeah, but Dad. Then pack. I'm going to my workshop. I left him standing there and walked outside into the cold December morning. I didn't cry. I'd learned a long time ago, working construction, that crying doesn't fix anything. You can't cry a foundation level. You can't cry a wall plumb. You build the solution, one piece at a time, measuring carefully, cutting precisely, making sure every joint is square. That's what I was doing now, building the solution to my son's betrayal. They left the morning of December 27th. I watched from my workshop window as they loaded expensive ski equipment into Dylan's Audi, bought with money he didn't have, financed on credit he couldn't pay, with debt he planned to erase by stealing my house. Bye, Dad, Dylan called out, waving like everything was normal. We'll call you, back on the 2nd. I waved back, waited until the Audi disappeared around the corner. Then the locksmith arrived. James had arranged everything. Professional, discreet, fast. Every lock in the house changed within 2 hours. Front door, back door, garage, workshop, new deadbolts, new keys, new security. The moving company will be here in an hour, James said, handing me the new keys. They'll box everything that belongs to Dylan and Natasha, put it in storage. You'll pay the bill, about $2,000, but they'll get the access code. $2,000. Can you handle it? I thought about the $45,000 I'd paid for Dylan's college education, money taken from retirement savings we couldn't afford to lose, the car loan I'd co-signed when he was 22, the down payment money for his first apartment, the hundreds of other times I'd helped because that's what fathers do. You sacrifice for your children. I can handle it, I said. The moving company was efficient. By evening, Dylan and Natasha's belongings were boxed and gone. The house was quiet, emptier, but mine again. I walked through rooms that were mine, touching walls, remembering, Eleanor's choices visible in every corner, the floors we'd refinished together, on our hands and knees with sanders and stain, the crown molding I'd installed while she held the ladder, the light fixtures she'd picked out, the paint colors she'd agonized over, testing samples on every wall, the bones of a house built by people who loved each other, who'd worked together, who'd created something that was supposed to last. I spent New Year's Eve alone, which felt right. At midnight, I poured a small glass of whiskey and raised it to Eleanor's photo on the mantel. I'm teaching him about consequences, I told her. That's what you wanted, right? That's how you raise a good man. You show him that actions have prices. The photo didn't answer, but I felt better. Eleanor had always been tougher than me, quicker to see through people, more willing to enforce consequences. "You're too soft with him, Warren," she'd said when Dylan was growing up. "He needs to learn that choices matter." I'd been too soft. After she died, I'd spoiled him, trying to make up for his mother being gone, given him too many second chances, let too many things slide. Not anymore. They came home January 3rd, midday. I was in my workshop when I heard the car in the driveway. Then the yelling started. I took my time walking out. Let them realize fully what had happened. Let the panic set in. Dylan was at the front door, key in hand, face red with frustration. "It doesn't work! Dad! Dad! The key doesn't work!" I stopped a few feet away. "That's because I changed the locks." He spun around. "What? Why would you?" "Your things are in storage. 1247 Industrial Parkway, Unit 312. I held out a piece of paper. "You'll get the access code from the rental company." Natasha pushed past him, her ski tan garish against her fury. "What the hell are you talking about? This is our house." "No," I said calmly. "It's my house. I built it 43 years ago with my own hands. Paid it off in August, and you're not welcome in it anymore." "Dad, come on." Dylan's voice cracked, reverting to the pleading tone he'd used as a child in trouble. "What's going on? What did we do?" I looked at my son, really looked at him, saw the boy I'd raised, the kid who'd helped me hang Christmas lights, who'd handed me tools in this workshop, who'd called me crying at college when he got his first C. And I saw what he'd become. "I found your financial reset plan," I said. "The spreadsheet, the nursing home brochures, the emails scheduling tours. I know about the $32,000 in gambling debts. I know about Natasha's $45,000 in credit cards. I know you were planning to put me in Pinewood, the cheapest option, and sell my house to pay off your mistakes." Dylan's face went white. "Dad, I can explain. I heard Natasha at the Christmas party. This will be our house. The old man needs to accept reality." "You remember saying that, Natasha? In my kitchen? On Christmas Eve?" Her mouth opened, closed. "You don't understand. We were trying to help. You can't maintain this place. You were thinking of yourselves, of your debt, of your problems." I took a breath. I talked to my lawyer, filed paperwork December 26th, eviction notice, restraining order for attempted elder financial abuse. It's all legal. You have no claim to this house while I'm living, and thanks to the life estate your mother set up, Dylan, you won't have one after I'm gone either. "You can't do this." Natasha's voice rose, cracking with panic. "We have rights." "You've been taking advantage of an old man's generosity," I said, "and now it's over." James appeared from his car down the street, where he'd been waiting. Professional, prepared. "Mr. and Mrs. Blackwood," he said formally. "I'm James Whitman, Warren Blackwood's attorney. Everything stated is legally accurate and documented. You need to leave the property immediately. If you don't, I'm authorized to call the police." "Dad, please." Dylan stepped forward. "I'm your son, your only son. We can work this out. Just let us inside. Let's talk." "Work what out?" "You're 36 years old. You gambled away your future and tried to steal mine to fix it. That's not something we work out. That's something you live with." "But I'm your son." His voice broke. "Doesn't that mean anything?" "My son died the day you chose her lies over your mother's memory." The words came out harder than I intended, but they were true. "The day you decided your debt was more important than my dignity. The day you looked at me and saw dollar signs instead of your father. That boy I raised, he's gone. You're just a stranger who looks like him." Dylan's face crumpled. Tears started. Real ones, maybe. For a moment, I almost weakened. Almost said we could talk, work something out. Then I remembered the spreadsheet. Asset solution, $425,000. Timeline. Dad moves to Pinewood, January 15th. Go, I said. Your belongings are in storage. After that, I don't care where you go. But you're not coming back here. They left. Had to. James was right there with his phone out, ready to dial. I watched Dylan's Audi back out of my driveway for the last time. Watched it disappear around the same corner where I'd taught him to ride a bike, running alongside until he found his balance. And I felt relief. 6 months later, July. Hot summer, the kind Eleanor had loved. I was teaching a kid named Marcus how to cut a proper miter joint in my workshop. 17, wanted to be a carpenter, had good hands and patient mind. Your son ever learn this stuff? He asked. I taught him a lot of things. I examined his work. Guess some lessons don't take. The Eleanor Blackwood Memorial Scholarship paid Marcus's tuition that fall at community college. First recipient. He sent me a thank you card, handwritten, proper spelling, the kind of thing people don't do anymore. I put it on the mantel next to Eleanor's photo. Dylan tried calling in April. Left a voicemail. Dad, please, I'm sorry. Can we talk? I'm your son. I listened once, then deleted it, because the man who'd made that spreadsheet, who'd labeled his father's home Asset Solution, who'd planned to institutionalize me for profit, that man wasn't my son, just someone who looked like him. That evening in July, I hung the Christmas lights, all of them, every strand, colored lights, the way Eleanor loved them. Red, green, blue, gold. It was 90 degrees, middle of summer, humidity thick enough to swim through. I didn't care. Let the neighbors wonder. I stood in the yard as the sun set, watching those lights blink on against the gathering dusk, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. The lights reflected in Eleanor's south-facing windows, the river rock fireplace visible through the glass, the farm sink catching the last light, the bones of a home built by people who'd loved each other. I kept my promise. I told her photo that night. I taught him about consequences. That's what good men learn, that actions have prices, that you can't just take what isn't yours and call it love. The colored lights blinked outside. Red, green, blue, gold. Eleanor's lights. Our lights. Let people see we're alive in here. And I was, still standing, still alive in this house we'd built together. The lights would stay up all summer, all year if I wanted. Mine to decide, my house, my rules, my life. Eleanor would have understood.